live yet for me, because like I've found the stream, but there's nothing on it yet.
Okay, refresh, please.
I am refreshing.
Um,
There you go. There you go.
I'm live. Huey. Okay. Am I live for everybody? Yeah? Alright, cool. Refresh.
Go to the homepage.
Don't jump ahead too far. Okay. Okay, so when you're creating your, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be also talking about how I want you to set up your model in a way. So we're just going to quickly run through that. It's going to be a relatively easy thing to do. So what I'm going to do is on the on the front view, what I'm going to do is create standard primitive plane. And then I'm just gonna draw a plane out. So that's gonna be, it's not gonna be bigger than the grid itself. I'm gonna right click, go to move, or you can press W shortcut on the keyboard. And I want to make sure that in the X that it's set to 0. So I'm gonna right click the up and down arrows so it snaps to 0.0 centimeters. And then I'm just gonna pull it back in the Y axis. So let me go big screen here. Okay, with the first one done, I'm going to press M on the keyboard to bring up my materials. If your materials mode is in the slate editor, which is this, you can always switch it to the compact. So mode and compact. And what I'm going to do is, I've already got one set up, so I'm going to click on the diffuse options, click on bitmap, and then navigate. So I threw something in my pictures, and I'll call it front and side. Go to parent, and then I'm going to assign it and show selected material in viewport. Okay, now the image that I have is squashed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out. So I'm going to go into my modify list. There's no need to turn this into an editable poly. And I am going to add a UVW map onto this. And then what I'm going to do is stretch out the width. I'm going to go into the UVW map options here with the triangle. When you click it, it goes down and it reveals a gizmo. And then this gizmo I'm going to move along. I'm going to go into my front view, and then what I can see here is a wireframe, so I'm going to change that to default shading. And that way I'm going to try and place my model in the center, in this black line center here of my grid. It doesn't have to be super accurate, but accurate enough. Okay, with that being done, I'm going to leave this open, the UVW map open, and just click off of the modify area. So I have my plane here. I'm going to go to rotate, and then I'm going to use my angle snap. Yeah, the shortcut is A on the keyboard, and then I'm gonna rotate in 90 degrees while holding the shift button. And what this will do, it will create another one while I'm rotating, and I've rotated it exactly 90 degrees, and I want it to be a copy. Press OK. I'm gonna go to move, W on the keyboard, and then in the Y I'm gonna snap to 0, 0. I'm just going to move it by hand in the X, so it is outside of the grid slightly. And then I'm going to go to my modifier area, and then I'm going to click down and go back to the gizmo, and then I can move it back. So if I press left, L for left, go to default shading at the top here, so I can see my character, and that way I can place my character so the center of gravity is even. So that's just before the heel, like that. Okay, P for perspective. And now with that done, I can collapse these two so I don't mess around with them anymore. It's perfectly fine if you had two separate front and side images, but if you need to modify it, it's a bit of a mission modifying two separate bits. But as I said, we're only going to be using this for a guide. Okay, so with my front and my side done, note that here I've got it's in my front, so I know this is my front by looking at the home key area, and this is facing out to the front. It's not facing backwards. You don't want it being faced backwards. It makes no sense. It has to be faced this way. And if for some reason your drawing is facing the opposite direction, then in the UVW map there's flip options that you can flip the U, the V and the W areas. Okay, so with both of them, I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to right click, go to Object Properties, and then I'm going to make sure that the Show Frozen in Gray is unticked and the back face cull is ticked. I'm going to press OK. And with that ticked, what has happened now is that when you rotate, you're not going to see the back side of the image. You're only going to see one, and this way it makes it a lot easier to model. And I can now right click and go freeze selected, so I'm never going to touch these again. Basically, you don't want these to move once you start modeling. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if it moves too much, because as I said, we're only using it as a reference, but this is the stage that we need to get to, yeah, when we begin to model. Okay, so with that said and done, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, let me just save this. Let's call this a man. I don't know where I'm saving it to, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to reset. Okay, now I just want you guys to get familiar with what I mentioned before, the symmetry tool and the stacking and all of that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a box. So create a primitive shape box, pull my box out, and let's just put like 70 70 70 and 3 3 3. So I've got 70 length, 70 width, 70 height, and segments 3 in all. F4 will bring on your edge faces. I'm going to convert this into an editable poly. Now I'm going to move it so that the X and the Y are set to, and the Z are set to 0 0. So I'm going to click the up and down arrow here, so it's perfectly in the center. Okay, so with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the connect tool. I'm going to select, use the marquee select and select all along, so that I've got the edges going from the top to bottom wrapped all the way around selected, and then I'm going to press connect. So I've input a new line going all the way through. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is select polygon, select the opposite side, the side that's not facing to the left, and then press delete. Okay, with that deleted, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to apply a symmetry. So I'm going to go to the modify list, go to symmetry, and apply the symmetry. The symmetry should be perfectly centered because I put my initial box in the center. So there's nothing I really need to do here. I'm going to tick slice along a mirror, and now my polygon is back. Okay, so here this says show end result. So if I click down on the show end result, you can see the symmetry disappeared, but when I click show end result, it's back. Yeah. Alright, the next step of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to delete the back here, and then I am going to start to pull my shapes out a bit. So I'm just going to balance it like so. Gonna select the front areas here. I'm gonna pull it out. If I go to top. Let me put all of these in shaded mode. I can start to pull this down. Jump back to perspective. Pull it back. Yeah. Pull the top up. I'm gonna select these sides and move them back also a tiny bit, and also scale them in. So as I'm selecting the vertices, I can actually, whoops, I can scale these in a bit and move them. Okay, so we've got a weird shape going on here. Let's pull this down a bit. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is, with nothing selected, with the symmetry selected, I'm going to add a mesh smooth. Oops, let me delete the bottom bit. So select the bottom and press delete. Okay, so I've still got my show end result attached. Gonna be selecting and pulling these down, trying to get this as smooth as possible. Pull it in. So we're gonna be doing a lot of this, just selecting pixels and slightly adjusting them. Okay, so the next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select these 2 pixels here. I'm gonna pull them in. So if you realize here, we've got like a yellow mesh. This is our cage. This is what the low poly we're actually messing around with. This is the low poly we're actually messing with. And then what I'm going to do is select polygon, select these 2 bits, and then I'm going to press the delete key. Now we have eye sockets. Okay. On my mesh smooth, I'm going to apply the iterations to 2 to make it a lot smoother. And then what I'm going to do is select all these bits and then just tweak them. So select, pull up and move. And as you move them, you realize that where the mesh smooth is managing the end result. And we're going to try and get this as smooth as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to use the border tool in this area, the eye socket, or what is going to be the eye socket, and then I'm going to just use the shift key and then pull back a bit. So I haven't pulled back by too much. If I use Alt and X to make it see-through, you can see what I've kind of done there. Let me take off the mesh smooth. So basically that's it, what we've done. And here's with the mesh smooth on. So we can then adjust this as we go. So I'm going to be working on the, say, nostril area. So let's, what you never want to do is move the center bits. Always make sure that these are on 0, the center vertices, they're on 0. So I'm going to select everything here and pull up slightly. Gonna pull this section in. With these 2 selected, I'm gonna pull up here. And then now I'm gonna be using the shift key. So using the edge and using the shift key, and then I'm just gonna pull out. So hold the shift and pull the edge in the direction you want. Yep. Now I'm gonna pull it down in the Z. I'm gonna pull it out using the X and the Y, so both of them, holding shift and just pull it out. So we have something to link back. I'm gonna turn off my mesh smooth so I can see what's happening here. Okay, so what we want to do now is start to use the fact that this is super low poly. We're going to start to create more verts inside. So I'm going to select from the center of the eye area and select 1, 2 and 3. So it's highlighted in yellow instead of red, but you can see the red on the opposite side to see what's selected. And then I'm going to add a connect, a simple connect. Okay, so with my connect selected, sorry, the vertices, I'm going to pull down the eye. I'm going to move this line over. With that selected, I'm going to select the edge. Going to select the top area here and the nose, or what is going to be the nose, and then I'm going to use the bridge tool to close it. Yep. Okay, so what we've done is we've created a new line using the connect tool. So this is going to be like part of the eye. All the eye is going to get more lines cut into it as we go along, and then I've used it to create more geometry where the nose area is going to be placed. Okay, so let's go back to mesh smooth to see what's happening. Yeah, you can see that something is starting to form. Okay, but what we want to do is make sure that these circles are accurate. So I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to go create standard primitive sphere. I'm going to select the sphere out and place it in the left section because that's the section we're modeling in. I'm going to then move it forward. I don't want to move it forward too much. And then what I'm going to do with this pseudo head selected, we're going to go back into the editable poly, make sure that the show end result is on. And then we're going to use, while using alternate to see-through mode, you don't have to if you don't need to, select the area that we're modding, and then we're going to then pull it so it fits more closely to the eye. So I'm selecting both of them. Then we're going to pull to the eye. And the same can happen for, like, I don't need to see the back bit. I know there's a back bit there. We can pull down. And then pull out. Okay. So I'm going to do the same for this area. So with the edge tool selected, select along. And then go to connect, and then go back with the mesh move on. I know that these two are here, and then I'm going to pull out a bit, move it forward. Same here, move that forward for the cheek area. I think that's going a bit too much. And then the top, select. We can pull that down and move that forward. We're going to do the top bit of the eye, but let's get the head section more aligned. And then I'm going to continue just growing out. Going to select, pull down using a shift. Select both edges and bridge. Yep. And this is basically the method that you'll be using. Yeah, so let's delete this section. These are the methods you'll be using, basically growing the area, figuring out where the polygon needs to be moved to, and then bridging it. Okay, it's going to be a very round nose here. Let's bridge that. And let's pull this back. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the inset tool. So I've created an inset there, and then I can use the extrude editor to pull that up to create like those areas, holes. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is gonna pause for a second, and I'm gonna come round to see if you guys are keeping up with what I'm asking you to do. So let's just move these together. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was watching the whole stream, but I wasn't doing anything.
Okay, but you okay? Rewind it and do it again. Yeah?
Work on it now anyway.
No, 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 no. Where's your front? That's the front. Okay, so that should be here. That should be on this one. Yeah. So look, you're missing too much. So what we're gonna do is gonna go F. Create primitive plane. Is front and side on it both? Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna assign. Okay, there's more. Why is this? Okay. So let's go to UVW map. And then we're gonna go to that's the middle, yeah? Okay. Then we rotate with the angle snap on 90. Move it in Y. Bam. Go into it. That one, and we want to flip, go to left, like that. Okay, then we can collapse to both of them selected. Object properties, backface coal, show frozen in grey, reselected. Okay, done. Okay. Okay, so from this dodgy nose, let's move this up a bit. Whoops. What I'm gonna be doing is now pulling down this whole area, and then rounding this out. Again, using the shift key to pull. Don't worry if it's rough, all of this will be modified. Oh, now I'm going to be using a target weld. So you got the weld and target weld. Using the target weld to grab and attach vertices to join them together. Okay, so what I want to be doing is starting to think about where this chin area is going, because up until now there has been no thought about it. So let me just tweak these bits here. Okay, and now I'm going to be working in the super low poly just so I can see what's going on. Okay, and what I want to do is select all of these, and I'm going to use the align tool. So I'm going to use this drop down, the ribbon, pop up, and use the align tool and align to Z just so it goes flat, so it's all flat. Okay, so it's, even though it's very rough, it's not looking too bad here. And what I want to do is show you the swift loop now. So the swift loop is gonna create a line. Basically it's the same as the connect tool, but more control, and create a line right down the center. This way I get to pull out the head a bit more, so it can actually look head-like. And I'm gonna pull this out as well. Okay, so that's what it's looking like with the mesh move on. So another thing I'm gonna show you guys is actually, because of the way how we're doing this, we can add, I wouldn't advise doing it properly, but in the editable poly we can right click, attach, and attach the eye to it. Actually, let's not do that. Control Z. Let's not do that because I want to keep modifying this area here. And just warp this area so it looks a bit more natural. pulling it out. Okay, and now we're gonna make some big leaps. So what I'm gonna be doing is, just with the first two, I'm gonna pull down and then start to create the chin area. Yep. So I'm making big wolves of movement here. Let's pull up and start to separate these a bit. Let's start to pull this area back. Pull these two down now to mimic. Oops. Ooh, X. Use the vertice, right click, target welds, and then attach it. Yep. Again here, select, use the bridge tool to close up the gaps. And we're going to do the same for the back of the head. I'm just going to select the first one, not the two. Actually, I think this needs modifying also, because we're further back. So actually, let's select the vertice. Let's pull it forward a bit. So that's selected. Hold shift and pull back. And I'm just gonna, every time I hold shift and let it go, we try to get some shape. I'm not even counting the amount that I'm doing, just trying to feel. And then let's start to pull these bits in. So I'm just gonna select them and pull them in a tiny bit. Then I'm gonna select this one, don't ask me why, and this one, and then I'm gonna select bridge. Select them across, connect, and then pull that connect out. Yep. Imagine this is like what do you call it? Like headphones or something. Yeah. Oops, let me rotate. I make the connection all the way around, and then I fill in the gaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this a four-sided area? No, 5. Okay. So actually, let's delete this one. And bridge that. Select, move. We can bridge or cap this area. Let's try to get these lines. You want these lines to be smooth also. You don't want them to be looking super jagged, even though it is super low poly. Then let's use this. So hold in Control to select multiple, and then pull down again. Use the vertice mode, and then use the target weld to pull them together. And then we can start to just select and move these down and try to get shape in, the initial shape. Okay. So select these two, pull that up a bit. And within a couple of seconds, or minutes I should say, you've got something that you can modify and fit in with a lot of different elements. So pull down, I'm using the target weld for that area. Okay, another method or adjacent objective is to get the neck in, regardless of what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is create a new box. Oh, let's put it down here. I don't want there to be any segments on this. Make sure that it's square. I'm just going to say it's 30, 30, 30. Actually, the height doesn't need to be that much. Okay. Convert to editable poly. Make sure that it's in the center, just like the head. I'm then going to select the top and the bottom and delete both sides. I'm going to add a mesh smooth on. Twice. Then I'm going to collapse to. Okay. Now we don't need the top two, so I'm going to press delete. We don't need these two because we're going to slowly attach these. So I'll pull it down where I feel the neck should be, and then I'm going to select the head. Whoops! On the editable poly, right click and attach. So I've attached a neck onto it now. And now what I can use or do is start to select both areas and bridge them together. Now we've got a perfectly round neck, even though necks aren't perfectly round, but at least we've got something to work with. Straight jump and bridge that. And we can work out the other stuff later. Or maybe I want the neck to be a bit more larger. It's fine, it's a skinny neck, it's fine. Work on the low poly area. I'm just trying to neaten these lines a tiny bit, just to see where they are going or working with, how they are working. Pull out again, vertex mode, target weld, attach. Okay, pull out. And then I'm gonna just work it. The way I've got this is a bit dodgy, so I'm gonna amend and pull up and try to work it in. How we can get this head, it needs to be like shrunk a bit or pulled in. So we can do this in great big movements as we're working with low poly. So let's just throw some attachments on here, start to bridge some areas. I would never really do this, but why not? Let's see where this is going. Okay, and now it's all of these selected. Just pull up and target. right click, target world, and we're going to start to fill in these gaps ever so slowly. Okay, bridge. Okay, let me pull this top bit. I feel his cranium needs to be a bit higher. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is the same like I did before with the other cranium, even though we need some more connections here. So let me connect these two, just put a connect on. Let's do this one. Gonna bridge. I'm gonna use the connect onto it, and then I'm gonna pull out to round it. Do the same thing again. Connect and pull out. And then this way here I can select these two, bridge them, bridge, and then just massage these lines so they start to look like they should be where they should be. Yeah. Okay. So right now I'm just pixel nudging. Let's do the same the opposite way. Actually, what I'm gonna do is gonna remove this line. I think it's one too many, so I'm gonna hold down Control while selecting the lines, right click and click remove. Yeah, so our initial shape is kept, but we've removed a whole segment that and then that should be even now on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna bridge these two, select the two edges, and then put a connect in, and then just balance that connect out. Okay, select and bridge them. Ooh, let's move this vertice out and try to straighten these low poly lines. Let's bridge all of this stuff together. Bridge. Okay. It's a dodgy bridging. Very dodgy bridging, but we have kept it quads. I haven't stuck a mouth in. Don't worry. Once the main bulk of the work is there, everything can be modded. Okay, so what we could do is, hold on, so let's move this in. Okay, so what we can do is, whoops, we can be pushing these pixels back and forth into eternity to get what we want. I'm gonna show you another tool-ish. Hold on, so let's just sort this bit out. Okay, what I'm gonna do is show you another tool where we can actually smooth out our edges. Where is it? Paint deformer, push and pull, and then we have relax. So if you scroll all the way down in your edit section, you should find paint deformer, then relax, and what you have is this blue node thing, and then you can rub over it, rub over your model, and then it will smooth out any jagged edges that you have. Now you can control the brush size and the brush strength here. So I don't want it as high as 0.1, so I'm putting 1, so I'm putting it at 0.5. And then using this just around, whoops, you don't want to go to the edge, it pulls it out just like I demonstrated there. Using this tool, if you've got any dodgy edges or whatever, you can use and pull together areas and smooth out. Okay, so let's go back, come out of paint deform, make sure that's not selected. And then I'm gonna just continue to tweak slightly. I want the eyes to be more childlike, if that's a thing. So let's just pull these in a bit and pull out the brow area. Pull, select and move. It's the name of the game. Okay, now with our mesh smooth on, when it comes to, if we wanted it, we can always increase the iterations to just tighten everything up. But the more iterations that you make, the more polygons you're creating, basically. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna put a symmetry on my eye. Actually, so what I'm gonna do is actually show you this. So my eye is selected. I'm gonna go to hierarchy, effect, pivot only, and then I am going to right click the X to 0 and 0. So my hierarchy is moved to the center. I'm gonna make sure that's unticked, and then I'm gonna come back and add a symmetry modifier. Oops, wrong one. Symmetry modifier, untick slice along mirror. So our eye is in exactly the same location. Just gonna select and move some bits. Make sure these lines are not too erratic. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it there for now. Then make a second section after I've come around and seen what you guys have doing or what you're doing. Alright, cool.